The night was colder than anything Evan had ever felt. The wind screamed across the mountains like a living creature. The snowstorm was so strong that he could barely see his own hands. He had been walking for hours, trying to reach a small cabin he remembered from an old hiking map, but the storm was growing worse, the cold biting deeper into his skin. Then he heard it, a sound that froze him in place. It was not the cry of a wolf, not the groan of shifting ice. It was something different, something sharp and weak, like a voice fighting for its last breath. Evan turned his head, trying to listen. The storm roared again, but under all that noise, the same sound returned. A faint cry for help. His heart beat faster. Someone was out there, dying in this cold. He moved toward the sound, pushing through deep snow that reached his knees. His flashlight struggled against the thick curtain of white, the beam shaking in his cold hands. Then he saw it, a soft blue glow coming from under a large pile of snow, like light trapped beneath the earth. Evan rushed toward it, dropped to his knees, and began digging with his bare hands. His fingers burned from the freezing cold, but he kept digging. Something small and delicate appeared beneath the snow. A hand, but not a human hand. It was slender, smooth, faintly glowing with blue lines like veins of light. Evan's breath caught in his throat. He cleared more snow and uncovered a face, a girl, but not human. Her skin had a soft silver blue shade, and her hair looked like strands of white light. She was shaking, gasping, barely alive. Her eyes opened for a second, showing a bright violet glow. She looked at him, as if seeing a miracle. Her lips moved, but the storm swallowed most of her voice. He leaned closer. She whispered, weak and broken, "Please don't let them find me." Evan froze. Them? Who was she talking about? He looked around, the storm howling with fury. There was no sign of anyone else, but the wind carried strange echoes, deep and haunting. He had no idea what she meant, who she was, or what danger followed her. But he knew one thing: if he left her here, she would die within minutes. He lifted her carefully. She was extremely light, almost weightless, as if her bones were hollow or changed somehow. Her body felt ice-cold, colder than the snow itself. Her glowing skin dimmed each time she breathed. Evan held her close, trying to share whatever warmth he had left. Suddenly, the ground trembled below him. A heavy vibration shook through the snow, like footsteps, but not human footsteps. Something large was moving in the storm. The alien girl weakly opened her eyes again, panic shining in them. "They're close," she whispered. "Run." Evan turned toward the darkness. At first he saw nothing but swirling snow. Then, far away, two red lights appeared. Not lights, eyes. Two glowing red eyes watching him through the storm. Then another pair appeared, and another. Shapes moved behind them. Tall, thin, and fast. His breath caught, fear gripping him like a fist. He pulled the girl tighter in his arms and began running. His boots slipped on the ice, but he forced himself forward. Step by step, the storm pushed against him, trying to stop him. The wind hit his face like knives, but he kept running. The girl's breathing grew weaker, her glow fading. Evan could hear the creatures behind him, their movements cutting through snow like blades. They were getting closer, much closer. He reached a slope and tried to climb it, but the snow was too soft. His foot sank deep, and he stumbled. The girl slipped slightly from his arms. He tightened his grip and kept climbing, gasping for air. The glowing red eyes moved faster now, spreading into a wide hunting circle. They were surrounding him. He felt the storm shake again, the creatures closing in. His heartbeat pounded in his ears, each thump louder than the wind. He knew he was running out of time. He didn't know this alien girl. He didn't know why she was being hunted, but he could not leave her. He could not let those things take her. A loud roar exploded from behind him, echoing across the mountains. It was deep, powerful, and full of hunger. The kind of roar that told him he was not being followed. He was being hunted. Evan reached the top of the slope, his legs shaking, his arms burning from carrying the girl. He looked back for a split second. A shadow moved in the storm, towering, monstrous, its red eyes burning like fire. Evan swallowed his fear and turned forward again, running as fast as his frozen body allowed. The storm grew even worse, as if the sky itself was warning him to run faster. The alien girl tried to speak again, her voice barely a whisper. "You should not help me, they will kill you." Evan shook his head, even though she could barely see it. "Not today," he whispered back. "I'm not leaving you." Her eyes softened for a moment, as if she was remembering something long forgotten. Then the ground under his feet cracked, a thin line spread across the snow, splitting wider and wider. Evan tried to stop, but his boots slid forward. The snow collapsed under him. He felt his body falling, the girl slipping from his grip. He reached out, grabbed her again, and pulled her close. They fell together, down a hidden slope covered in ice, sliding fast, unable to stop. The red eyes appeared at the top of the ridge, glowing like demons watching their prey fall into darkness. Evan hit the bottom of the icy slope with a hard thud. Pain shot through his back, but he refused to let go of the alien girl in his arms. Snow exploded around them as they slid further, spinning out of control, his vision blurred, the world turning white and wild. He dug his boots into the ice, trying to slow down, but the surface was too smooth. The whistle of the blizzard echoed around them like a warning. At last, their slide slowed, then stopped. Evan gasped for air, coughing as snow filled his mouth and nose. The girl lay weakly in his arms, her glow faint and trembling. He looked up the slope. Red eyes glowed at the top, unmoving, watching. The creatures did not jump down after them. They were too smart for that. They were hunters, not fools. They would find another way around. Evan rose to his feet, his legs shaking under the weight of exhaustion and fear. The storm raged harder, slamming against him as if trying to push him back to the monsters. He held the girl closer, her cold body pressing into his chest like ice. Her breathing was light, almost silent. He whispered, "Stay with me," though he did not know if she heard him. A strange sound drifted through the blizzard, not a roar this time, but a clicking, rhythmic and sharp, like metal tapping against stone. Evan spun around, searching for the source. The sound came from the darkness, growing louder, faster, closer. He knew they had to move. He pushed forward through the deep snow, each step heavier than the last. The wind hit his face with frozen needles. He staggered, fighting just to stay upright, but the clicking sound followed him, sometimes close, sometimes far, always hunting, always watching, like the storm itself had become a predator. The girl stirred in his arms, her voice weak. "They track by temperature," she whispered. "Your heat, my energy, they see everything." Evan felt a cold shiver run through his spine. There was no hiding from something that could sense warmth in a frozen world. He reached a small ridge that dropped into another valley. He hesitated, unsure if it was safe. The blizzard blocked his sight, everything swirling into a wall of white. He took a deep breath, then stepped forward. The valley below was even worse, snow piled high, almost waist. He struggled through it, each movement draining his strength. His lungs burned from the freezing air, his legs ached like they were made of stone. But he kept moving. Behind him, the clicking sound grew louder again. Then it changed. It became a hiss, a long, low hiss that crawled across the snow like fog. Evan turned his head slowly, and his blood ran cold. A figure moved through the storm, tall, thin, armored in something that shimmered like silver ice. For long legs carried it smoothly over the snow, leaving no footprints. Its head was narrow, its eyes glowing red, the same eyes from the ridge above, but this creature was bigger, faster, and closer. Evan stumbled backward, clutching the girl even tighter. The creature tilted its head, studying him. Its breath fogged the air in slow, icy clouds. Then it spoke in a deep metallic voice. "Return the girl," it growled, "and you may live." Evan's heart hammered in his chest. His voice cracked as he shouted, "No!" The creature let out a low growl. It stepped forward, each movement smooth and deliberate. Snow swirled around its legs like mist. The girl opened her eyes, fear shining inside them. Her voice shook as she whispered, "Don't talk, don't stop, run." Evan didn't need to be told twice. He turned and plunged deeper into the valley, snow dragging at his legs, the creature's hiss growing louder as it pursued him. The world became a blur of white and terror. He forced his legs to move faster, Despite the pain screaming through his muscles, the girl's glow flickered softly, like a dying star in his arms. He could feel her life slipping away. He ran harder, pushing his body beyond its limits. Suddenly, a dark shape rushed past him on his right, then another on his left. Two more creatures, smaller but just as fast, moved parallel to him. They weren't attacking, they were closing the trap. Evan's breath came in broken gasps. He was surrounded. He pushed forward anyway, refusing to give up, not while the girl's life hung by a thread, not while the creatures hunted them like prey. He spotted a cluster of jagged rocks up ahead, a narrow gap between them, small enough for him to squeeze through, too small for the tall hunter creatures. He sprinted toward it, sliding the last few feet. Snow sprayed around him as he dove into the gap. He shielded the girl with his body. A blast of cold wind swept through the rocks as the creatures skidded to a stop outside the entrance. The tall creature peered in, its red eyes burning in the darkness. "You cannot escape," it said, its voice echoing through the stone walls. The girl trembled in Evan's arms, whispering, "They never stop." Evan swallowed hard, his breath shaking. He had survived the slope, the storm, and the first chase, but he knew this was only the beginning. He held the girl close, listening to the creatures circle the rocks like wolves. The blizzard howled above them, and Evan realized something terrifying. He was trapped with an alien he knew nothing about, hunted by things he could not understand, in a storm that wanted them both dead. The chase was far from over. It had only just begun. The storm screamed over the rocks while Evan held the alien girl close. The narrow hiding place shook with every gust of icy wind. Outside, the hunters circled slowly, their red eyes glowing like burning coals in the darkness. Every few seconds, Evan heard the scrape of metal legs on stone, a slow, patient rhythm, the sound of predators waiting for their moment. Evan's breath came in short, trembling gasps. He could feel the alien girl's heartbeat, weak and fading, like a bird trapped in freezing hands. Her glowing lines were almost gone now, dimming with each passing minute. "She's dying," he whispered to himself, voice trembling in fear. She opened her eyes slightly, violet light flickering like a spark in a storm. Her voice sounded small and broken. "We cannot stay here. They will break the rocks, or freeze you out. Run while you still can." Evan shook his head, determined. "I'm not leaving you." She stared at him with confusion, almost disbelief. Her lips parted slightly as if she wanted to say something, but her strength slipped again. Her head fell weakly against his shoulder. Then the rocks trembled. Something massive slammed into the outside wall of their hiding place. Dust fell from the ceiling. The entire gap shook like it would collapse any second. The hunters were not waiting anymore. They were attacking, trying to force him out, trying to crush them inside. Evan looked around the tiny space, desperate for another way out, but there was only darkness, a tight stone passage behind him that looked too small for him to crawl through. But the girl whispered, "Go deeper, the rock will guide us." Her voice carried a strange certainty, as if she knew something he didn't. Evan lowered her gently and crawled deeper into the narrow passage. It was tight and cold, forcing him to move sideways, battling the jagged edges of stone scraping his jacket. The girl weakly touched the wall with her glowing fingers, and something unbelievable happened. The stone softened under her touch, like warm wax melting beneath a flame. Her hand slid across the surface, leaving a glowing line that expanded outward. The wall opened into a small round space, like she had carved a doorway, out of solid stone. Evan stared with wide eyes. "How are you doing that?" he whispered in shock. She shook her head slowly, her breath trembling. "My energy is fading. I cannot open more." Another thunderous slam shook the rocks behind them. One of the hunters hissed, its voice echoing down the passage. "We can smell you. Human, we can hear your heartbeat." Evan's blood ran cold. He hurried into the newly formed chamber and pulled the girl inside. The rock closed behind them, sealing the entrance like it never existed. The air inside the chamber was warmer, not by much, but enough for Evan to feel the difference. The girl lay still, her eyes barely open. Blue lines of energy flickered weakly on her arms. Evan knelt beside her, forcing himself to breathe slowly. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to help her. Then she whispered, barely audible, "My name is Liara." Evan repeated it softly, like a promise. Liara, I'll keep you alive somehow. Her eyes softened at the sound of her name, like it gave her a small spark of strength again. She lifted her trembling hand and touched the ground. The stone rippled under her fingertips, small glowing patterns spread outward in circles. Evan watched them, confused and amazed at the same time. Liara whispered, "These are memory paths. They show what happened here long ago." The glowing patterns shifted, turning into shapes. Blurry images projected onto the stone floor. Evan saw tall figures walking across mountains, their bodies glowing bright like Liara's. He saw strange machines floating in the sky, sending beams of light into the snow. He saw hunters, those same terrifying creatures, attacking, destroying, killing everything in their path. Liara's voice trembled. "The hunters, they destroyed our outpost. I was the only one left. They want my energy, they want what I carry." Evan stared at her, shocked and confused. "What do you carry?" he asked. She looked at him with weak, frightened eyes. "A core, a living core. My people made it. It can heal worlds or destroy them. They want it." Before Evan could reply, the chamber floor vibrated gently. He looked up in fear, expecting the hunters to break in, but this vibration was different, soft, slow, almost alive, like the mountain itself was breathing. Liara weakly reached for the wall again. A new image formed, this time clearer, brighter. It showed Liara collapsing in the snow, the hunters closing in around her. Then something unexpected happened in the vision. A human man appeared, Evan himself, reaching out to her, lifting her from the ground, carrying her through the storm. Liara gazed at him, her voice barely a whisper. "I do not understand. Why did you help me? No human would risk their life for someone like me." Evan's breath caught in his throat. He didn't have a heroic answer. He just said the truth. "You were dying. I couldn't leave you." Liara stared at him for a long moment, her eyes softened, not with fear now, but with something he couldn't explain, a bond forming, invisible but strong. Then her glow flickered violently, her body tensed as if something inside her was burning out. She gasped in pain, gripping Evan's coat. "The core, it is unstable. The cold is killing it. If it dies, I die." Evan pulled her close, panic rising in his chest. "What do I do, Liara? Tell me what to do." She struggled to speak, her voice shaking. "You must keep moving, warmth, safety before they break through, before they take me." A loud cracking sound exploded from the passage behind them. The hunters had found the sealed entrance. They were breaking in. The chamber trembled under each impact, dust falling like snow from the ceiling. Liara's voice dropped to a whisper of terror. "They will kill you and take me." Evan stood up, lifting her gently but firmly into his arms. His eyes burned with determination. "No," he whispered, "they won't." The rocks behind them shattered. Red eyes filled the darkness. Claws scraped stone. Metal legs clicked with hunger. Evan held Liara tight. He turned toward the only tunnel leading deeper into the mountain. The hunters roared behind them, shaking the chamber walls, and Evan ran, not knowing where the tunnel led, not knowing if they would survive. Only knowing one thing, he would not let her die, not in this cold, not in this darkness, not while he still had strength to carry her. The mountain trembled with every step he took, and the storm outside howled like a warning. The hunt was entering its deadliest stage, and Evan had no idea what waited for them in the deeper shadows ahead. But he ran anyway, because stopping now meant death for both of them, and because something inside him whispered a truth he did not yet understand. He and Liara were connected now, by fate, by danger, by something far greater than either of them knew. The chase was not over. It was becoming something much bigger, something that would change both their worlds forever. Evan ran deeper into the mountain tunnel. His boots splashed through freezing water. The echo of each step bounced off the stone walls like a warning. Behind him, the hunters crawled through the shattered chamber, their claws scraping rock, their red eyes glowing like burning wounds in the dark. Their metallic voices hissed in hunger. "Find the human, bring the girl." Liara shivered violently in his arms, her glow flickering like a dying candle. Her skin was colder than ever, cold enough to numb his hands through his gloves. Her breathing came in short, painful gasps. She won't survive long. Evan whispered to himself, fear tightening around his throat like ice. He could almost feel time slipping away, each second pushing her closer to the edge. The tunnel twisted sharply, then widened into a huge cavern. Evan stopped for a moment, stunned. Blue crystals grew from the walls like frozen flowers, casting soft shimmering light across the chamber. The air was warmer here, almost gentle compared to the brutal cold outside. Liara's eyes opened a little, their violet glow weak but still alive. "This place responds to energy," she whispered faintly. "My people once used it for shelter." Evan lowered her gently onto a flat crystal ledge. As soon as her body touched it, the crystal glowed brighter. Warmth spread through the rock like veins of fire. Liara gasped softly as some of her strength returned, though only for a moment. Evan stepped back, amazed. "Does it heal you?" he asked, hope rising in his voice. Liara shook her head weakly. "No, it only slows the dying." Before Evan could speak, a deep rumble echoed across the cavern. Dust fell from the ceiling, drifting down like ash. The hunters had found the tunnel. Their voices echoed through the passage, sharp and cruel. "We sense your heat. Human, you cannot run forever." Evan's stomach tightened with fear. He scanned the cavern for another way out. There were two paths, one narrow and steep, leading downward into deeper darkness, the other wide but glowing faintly with strange symbols. Liara pointed weakly toward the glowing path. "Go there. The mountain remembers us. It will help." Evan didn't question her. He lifted her again, feeling how light and fragile she had become. Like holding a dying star, he moved toward the glowing path, his footsteps soft but fast. Every few seconds, he looked back. Shadows moved in the tunnel behind them. The hunters were getting closer. Too close. As Evan stepped onto the glowing path, the symbols flared brighter. The stone shifted under his feet like it was alive. The path stretched forward and downward, forming a slope that led into another chamber. Liara whispered, "This place, it is old, older than my people, older than the hunters," it listens. The cavern ahead was massive, a circular hall with towering stone pillars that reached into darkness above. The walls shimmered with flowing energy lines, glowing faint blue like Liara's skin. Evan felt a strange pressure around him, a presence, as if the mountain itself was watching, judging. Liara lifted a trembling hand toward the pillars. "This is the heart of the mountain," she whispered. "It holds ancient memory, ancient power." Her body trembled harder, her glow twitching like electricity failing. Evan knelt beside her, panic filling his chest. "What can I do? Tell me how to help." She placed her hand weakly against his arm. "You cannot help me unless," she hesitated, her breath breaking, "unless you trust me completely." Before Evan could ask what she meant, the mountain shook violently. A loud metallic shriek echoed down the tunnel behind them. The hunters entered the chamber, their red eyes scanning the hall like predators searching for blood. The lead hunter, a towering creature with long blades for arms, stepped forward and hissed, "Human, your escape ends here." Evan stood quickly, placing himself between Liara and the creatures. His hands shook, his heart raced. He had nothing to fight with, no weapon, no power, only fear and determination. The lead hunter raised its blade-like arm, preparing to strike. Liara suddenly spoke, her voice weak but steady. Evan touched the pillar. He turned toward her, confused. "Why? Just do it, hurry." The hunter lunged forward with terrifying speed. Evan dove toward the nearest pillar, slamming his hand against its glowing surface. The stone burst with blinding blue light. Energy surged from the pillar into his body like a shockwave. He cried out, feeling a burning force rush through his veins. The entire chamber shook as the ancient power awakened. The hunters staggered back, hissing in confusion. Their red eyes flickered nervously. The lead hunter screamed in rage. "What have you done?" Liara lifted her head, her voice barely more than a whisper. "The mountain has accepted him." Her eyes glowed faintly. "He is connected now." Evan felt something strange. The pillar pulsed like a heartbeat under his palm. Images flashed into his mind. Ancient battles, glowing beings like Liara, hunters stalking across icy plains, worlds rising and falling. He gasped, overwhelmed. Liara whispered, "Use it." Evan used the mountain. The hunters charged forward, claws scraping stone. Evan felt the energy rising through him. He lifted his hand instinctively. The pillar answered. A massive wave of blue force exploded outward, slamming into the hunters like a storm. They flew backward, crashing into the far wall with a deafening roar. Evan staggered, breath shaking. He had no idea how he did that. He only knew it was not his strength. It was the mountains. Liara collapsed completely now, her glow almost gone. Her voice trembled in fear. Evan, the core is failing. If it dies, everything dies. The hunters rose again, furious. Their bodies sparked with damage, their voices deeper and angrier than before. You cannot protect her, human. Evan lifted Liara into his arms. He looked at the far end of the chamber where another path opened into deeper darkness. He didn't know what was down there, but he knew one thing. He had no choice. He ran toward the darkness as the hunters roared behind him, and the mountain pulsed with ancient power, guiding him toward something greater, something terrifying, something that could save Liara or destroy everything. The storm outside was nothing compared to the storm that waited inside the mountain's heart, and Evan was running straight into it. The moment Ethan and Arya stepped into the old underground base, a heavy silence spread around them, like the whole place was holding its breath. Ethan moved carefully, keeping his flashlight pointed forward, while Arya stayed close, her steps slow and unsure. The air smelled like metal and dust, and the halls were wide, cold, and dead. Strange pipes ran across the ceilings, wires hung like broken vines, and every sound they made echoed like someone was following them. But there was someone else inside, watching them, waiting for them. Ethan didn't know it yet, but the facility had reawakened the moment Arya entered. Her presence was the key, and whatever lived in this place now wanted her back. They reached a long control room filled with broken screens and shattered tables. Arya walked to a large circular device in the center, and her hand began to glow again. Ethan watched her fingers shake as she touched the metal ring. The machine reacted instantly. The screens around them flickered alive, showing strange symbols and shaking lines of glowing text. Arya gasped, stepping back as blue lights wrapped around her like mist. Arya, what's happening? Ethan asked, pulling her behind him. I don't know, she whispered, but this place remembers me. A deep vibration rolled through the entire base. The ground shook, dust fell from the ceiling, and the ring device spun slowly, as if waking up after centuries of sleep. Then a voice filled the room, cold and emotionless. Biological signature confirmed. Subject Arya. 7 has returned. Initiating retrieval protocol. Ethan froze, his heart slammed in his chest. That voice, whatever it was not friendly. Arya grabbed his arm tightly, her face filled with fear. Ethan, we need to leave now, she said. This machine, it wants to take me. But before they could move, metal doors slammed shut behind them, sealing the control room. A thick layer of steel locked into place, and the lights turned red. They were trapped. Suddenly, robotic arms unfolded from the ceiling like giant metal spiders, each one glowing with scanning lights. They reached toward Arya, moving fast. Ethan rushed forward, swinging a broken metal pipe at the nearest arm. The hit echoed loudly, but the arm did not stop. It pushed him back easily, knocking him to the ground. Ethan, Arya cried, trying to run to him, but a bright barrier rose between them, blocking her path. Ethan hit the barrier with his fists, but it felt like hitting a wall of burning light. Arya, stay back, he shouted. Blue energy circled Arya, lifting her slightly from the ground. Her hair rose, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. The machine scanned her, analyzing every part of her. The robotic voice spoke again. Subject Arya, 7 is unstable. Full extraction required. Ethan's blood turned cold. He didn't know what extraction meant, but he knew it was bad, very bad. Arya screamed as the energy tightened around her. Her hands reached for Ethan through the barrier, her voice breaking. Ethan, please don't let them take me. Those words hit Ethan like a blade. He had carried her through a deadly blizzard for 3 days. He had protected her from hunters and shadows. He had promised her, that he would not let anything harm her. And he was not going to break that promise now. Ethan stood up slowly, breathing hard, staring at the barrier, his fists tightened around the metal pipe, his eyes filled with fire. "Arya," he said quietly, "I'm not leaving without you." With everything he had, Ethan slammed the pipe into the sparking panel beside the barrier. The lights burst, wires snapped, and sparks exploded across the room. The barrier flickered, weakened. Ethan hit it again, harder and again, until the barrier shattered. The energy vanished like smoke, and Arya fell into his arms. Trembling and crying, Ethan held her tightly, whispering, "I've got you. I'm here. I won't let them take you." But the room was not done with them yet. The machine's voice grew harsher, louder. Security breach detected, deploying guardians. Heavy metal footsteps echoed from the dark hallway outside. Multiple shapes, large, armored, and glowing with blue light, started marching toward the control room. Ethan looked at the door, then at Arya, then at the dark exit at the far end of the room. They had only seconds left, and the monsters were almost here. Arya lifted her glowing hand and whispered, "Ethan, run." But running would not be enough this time. They needed a miracle, or something even more powerful. The metallic footsteps grew louder, each step heavy like a hammer hitting the earth. Ethan held Arya close as the red emergency lights flashed across the room, making the shadows dance on the walls. The Guardians were coming, and they were getting closer every second. Arya's hand still glowed faintly, but her body shook with exhaustion. Ethan knew she couldn't use her powers for long, not after the machine tried to pull her energy out. He looked around the control room, searching for anything, any tool, any exit, any hope. Then he saw a small maintenance hatch on the floor behind the device. The metal was scratched and dusty, but the latch seemed loose. "Arya, come on," Ethan whispered, guiding her toward it. "We can hide down here." Arya nodded weakly, trusting him fully. Ethan pulled the hatch open, the hinges screaming with rust. A dark tunnel dropped into a narrow passage below. Before they could climb down, the main door burst open with a thunderous crash. 3 massive Guardians stepped inside, towering over the machines around them. Their bodies were armored in dark metal, glowing with blue lines that pulsed like veins. Their eyes were bright circles of cold light, scanning the room. One Guardian turned its head toward them. "Target found," it said in a deep mechanical voice. Ethan's heart jumped. There was no time left. He grabbed Arya and pushed her into the tunnel first, lowering her until her feet touched the narrow floor below. Then he dropped down after her and closed the hatch quietly. Darkness wrapped around them. The only sound now was the muffled thud of the Guardians searching above. Ethan held his breath. Arya held his hand tightly. They could hear metal footsteps walking across the hatch. One Guardian stopped directly above them, its heavy weight pressing on the metal. Arya squeezed Ethan's fingers. "What if they open it?" she whispered softly. "They won't," he whispered back, though his voice trembled. "Just stay quiet." Surprisingly, the Guardians did not detect the hatch. After a moment, the heavy steps continued across the room as the machines searched different areas. Ethan finally exhaled. "We need to move before they scan this place," he said. The tunnel was small, but long, stretching deeper under the facility. The walls were wet, covered in pipes, and the floor was cold beneath their hands as they crawled forward. Arya's glow lit the way, but her light flickered every few seconds. She was getting weaker. After several minutes of crawling, the passage widened into a small underground chamber, filled with strange symbols glowing faintly on the walls. The air felt warmer here, almost alive. Arya stepped forward slowly, her eyes widening. I know this place," she whispered. "This was my room." Ethan stared in surprise. "Your room?" Arya nodded slowly, touching one of the glowing symbols. "When I was young, very young, I lived here with others like me. We were training for something big, but I don't remember what." Ethan looked around. The chamber was filled with alien markings, small floating lights, and strange crystal-like machines. It felt peaceful, but also powerful. Then Arya walked to a corner where a cracked glass capsule stood. She touched it gently, her eyes growing sad. "This was my sleep pod," she whispered. "I think. I was put inside it to protect me, Then the base shut down. Ethan felt a shiver. She had been trapped here for who knows how long, frozen in sleep, forgotten alone. "Arya," he said softly, "we'll figure this out. I'll help you remember." But before Arya could answer, the chamber lights flickered. A new voice echoed through the room, softer and more human than the machine voice before. "Arya, 7. Emotional readings detected. Welcome back." Ethan spun around. A hologram flickered to life in front of them. A tall woman with silver hair and glowing blue eyes appeared, her face calm, her voice gentle. Arya gasped, "Mother?" The hologram smiled. "Yes, my child." Ethan froze. "Mother?" Arya had a hologram mother trapped inside the base? The projection stepped forward slightly, her light shimmering. "I am not truly alive, but a stored memory of your real mother." Arya's eyes filled with tears. "Where is she? What happened to her? Why did she leave me here?" The hologram's face softened. "You were in danger. All of you were. The base was attacked by our enemies. We put the children into sleep pods to save their lives." Ethan listened carefully, feeling the truth settling like ice in his chest. Arya was part of something much larger than they ever imagined. A war, a secret project, a hidden species, something that powerful machines wanted at any cost. The hologram continued. "You must leave this place, Arya. The machines above are corrupted, driven by old protocols. They believe you must be taken and used to restart the ancient system." Ethan stepped closer. "How do we stop them?" The hologram slowly turned to him. "To protect her, you must reach the core room, destroy it, and the Guardians will shut down forever." Arya looked terrified. "The core room? That place is dangerous. It's filled with traps and defense systems." Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. "We've survived worse," he said softly, "and we'll survive this too." But before they could move, the tunnel behind them shook violently. Loud metal footsteps echoed. The Guardians had found the hatch, and they were breaking through. Arya's glow brightened suddenly. Ethan grabbed her hand. Together, they ran toward the deeper tunnels. The battle inside the ancient base was only beginning, and the core room held truths none of them were ready for. Ethan and Arya ran deeper into the underground tunnels as the heavy metal footsteps echoed behind them. The Guardians were breaking through every barrier, every door, every wall that stood in their way. Their glowing blue eyes lit the darkness like cold fire. Arya's hand shined brighter with every step, not from strength, but from fear and instinct. Her power reacted to danger, and right now the danger was everywhere. Ethan held her hand tight. "We're close, Arya. Just stay with me," he said. The tunnel finally opened into a massive chamber far beneath the base. A huge circular machine stood in the center, its spinning rings glowing with blinding light. Energy crackled around it like lightning trapped inside metal. Arya whispered, This is the core room." The hologram mother appeared again, faint and flickering. "You must destroy the core, or the machines will never stop hunting you." Ethan looked at the huge machine. How do we destroy something this big? Before the hologram could answer, the entire chamber shook. The Guardians had arrived. Their metal bodies stepped through the entrance, sparks raining down from the shattered tunnel behind them. There were more than before, maybe 6, maybe 7, all glowing, all locked onto one target. "Arya." The mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. "Retrieve subject Arya 7. Eliminate human obstruction." Ethan felt anger burning through him. He picked up a broken metal rod from the ground. "You want her?" he shouted. "You'll have to go through me." The Guardians charged forward at once, the metal floor shaking under their weight. Arya stepped in front of Ethan suddenly, her eyes glowing like 2 stars. "No," she whispered. "This ends now." For a moment, everything went silent. The air thickened, the ground vibrated, and a wave of blue light burst from Arya's body. The Guardians froze mid-step, their glowing eyes flickering. Their metal bodies shuddered as if something powerful was tearing through their systems. Arya raised her hand, tears in her eyes. "I am not your prisoner," she said softly. "I am not your weapon." The wave of energy spread wider, cracking the floor, shaking the walls, and pushing the Guardians back. But the core behind her reacted too. Its spinning rings moved faster, glowing brighter, absorbing her power instead of breaking. The hologram mother shouted, "Arya, stop. The core is feeding on your energy. You will destroy yourself." Arya stumbled, her light fading. Ethan rushed to her side and caught her before she fell. "Hey, look at me," he said softly. "Don't let it take you." Arya's breathing grew weak. "I can't hold it back, Ethan," she whispered. "If the core restarts, the machines will rise again, and this world will burn." Ethan looked at the core, then he looked at Arya. Then he made the hardest decision of his life. He stood up, gripping the metal rod tightly. "I'll destroy it," he said. Arya shook her head weakly. "You can't. It's too strong." Ethan stepped closer to her. "Maybe I'm not strong enough," he whispered, "but I won't let you die for this." He ran straight toward the core, the heat from the spinning rings burning his skin. Sparks exploded around him. The force pushed against him like a storm trying to throw him back. But he kept going, one step, and another. Arya cried out, "Ethan, stop, you'll die." Ethan didn't stop. He swung the metal rod with every ounce of strength left in his body. The rod slammed into the core's central crystal plate. A massive explosion of blue energy blasted through the chamber. The ring shattered. Lights went dark. The Guardians collapsed like dead machines. And Ethan fell backward onto the floor, motionless. Arya screamed and ran to him. She dropped to her knees and held his face in her hands, tears falling onto his skin. "Ethan, please wake up," she whispered. "Don't leave me." The chamber was silent. The machines were gone. The core was destroyed, but Ethan did not move. Arya closed her eyes, her body glowing gently. She placed her hands on his chest. A soft blue light spread into him, warm and pure, like a heartbeat being shared. Slowly, Ethan's fingers twitched, then he breathed, then his eyes opened. Arya let out a shaking breath of relief. "You're alive," she whispered, hugging him tightly. Ethan smiled weakly. "Told you. I'm not leaving without you." The hologram mother reappeared one final time. "You both have saved this world," she said softly. "Arya, your journey is only beginning. Protect this planet. Protect each other." The hologram flickered, smiled gently, and faded forever. Arya leaned her head on Ethan's shoulder. "We should leave this place," she said quietly. Ethan nodded. "Yeah, let's go home." Together, they walked toward the surface, side by side, alive, free, and stronger than ever.